G'day and welcome back. Today's video is a little bit different. I put a call out to the community. Smartphonephotography.club is the URL to go to join the free membership, get access to smartphone photography related tutorials, editing, composition, photo intention, all that good stuff. Accessories, talk about that. There's a chat, there's a forum. It's a great community where we have discussions about things, photo themes, all that. I put a call out and said, hey, I want to do some live one-on-one sessions for the purpose of sharing them on YouTube. And it was fantastic, got a great response. Terry was one of the first ones who jumped in, so after the intro, let's get into that one. G'day, I'm Mike and welcome to the channel. Twice a week I share techniques and tips on photo intention, composition, capture and mobile editing, all on your iPhone and Android smartphone to help you become that more confident and creative photographer that you desire and deserve to be. So looking at these photos that you sent through, Terry, those ones there, which one would you like to have a crack at? Would you like to edit?
Probably the first one. Just lately I've been doing lots of stuff with flowers and that, you know, and then putting a vignette around them. And what I really didn't have any available to put to you. What I want at the end of the day, what I would like to do is to be able to have just a picture of a flower with nothing in the background.
Yeah, perfect. All right, well let's have a play with that one. So the app that we're playing around with here is Snapseed. That's the bottom there, down there. So this? I'm looking at this loaded in Snapseed now. Was it a horizontal or vertical capture when you took this photo?
Probably was horizontal, maybe.
Yeah, okay.
It was a big tree.
Yep.
So I could have been doing it anyway just to get into the screen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you mentioned that you like the idea of having a dark background. So let's have a play with that. And I'm looking at this and I'm looking at the middle of the frame there, this bit here. That's really, I mean, there's a lot of texture there and detail, which is fantastic. But the center flower there, because it's closer to the lens, the focus distance has kind of missed that and it's gone behind it. So we've got a kind of a blurry bit in the center there. So you can see how that kind of, your attention goes past that to all the textures.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm thinking,
almost.
Yeah, so I'm looking at this one up here. I'm thinking everything there is the same distance to the camera and everything is in nice focus there. So that section there looks really nice. And the bottom there, yep, that's out of focus. So what we might do first is just crop it and we'll reduce the canvas that way. So I'll go to pencil, crop, to see how that goes. So what I'm doing here, Terry, is I'm really kind of simplifying the photo, if you like, and putting the attention back on the photo. And as you say, that if we darken the background, blur the background, that sort of thing, it detracts attention from there. And that's what it's all about. Is photography is a subtraction art, if you like. And it's so hard, isn't it? Because we're looking at a tree and there's just so much like you can't, and we don't want to go and rip the branch off and take bits off it and all that sort of thing. So I think that's looking really good. We could crop it a little bit more, or we could even, once we've done that, go into rotate and we can just spin it around and see whether a different orientation looks good. And that doesn't work for me.
No.
It has some real, I don't know why, it kind of has some real visual tension, doesn't it? Because we know that flowers don't grow on an angle like that. So it's interesting. It'll get engagement, but it kind of feels funny, and that feels even worse. That's not bad. I don't mind that. And then we've got that one there.
You know, when you're saying all this, if you go into your rule of thirds type thing, that first one that we really hated.
Yep. Yep. Well, why don't we stick with this? Why don't we stick with this one then? Yeah. All right, we'll do that. All right. So that's the first step, is to crop it. I don't need to straighten it, and that's one of the pleasures of taking photos outside, is you don't have a constant vertical or horizontal reference point that you kind of have to really get right. Otherwise, people think that it looks weird and wrong. So that works for us. So I don't need to straighten it. You mentioned that we want the background to kind of disappear. We want the flowers to pop. And one of the things I love about this, and I'm sure this is why you captured, is just that the textures and the lines and details in that.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So what I might do is, because that's our intention, we'll go straight into sharpening that and bring those details out. And then if we kind of skip other steps and go straight to that first, then we can see whether the photo has real potential. And then we can, if we go, okay, my intention was to have real sharp details here, but when we go and fix it, it doesn't quite do it. Then we can quickly move on to another photo.
Yes.
Does that make sense? Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So Snapseed has two really good sharpening tools in here that I really like. One is the details, which is, where is it? I'm probably looking at up the top there, and it does a really good job. Another one that does a really fantastic job is another one called tonal contrast. So I'm going to tap on there, and if I zoom in, my finger on there, you can see the before and the after. How's that looking on your screen? Can you see that?
Yes, yeah, it looks good, yeah.
Yeah, you can see we've brought detail out straight away. And what tonal contrast, if we tap on the adjust there, it's kind of like local tone mapping and local area adjustments of the bright areas, the dark areas, and then the midtones. Right, we can really crunch that, and those bright areas really make them jump off the screen. And protect the highlights. Again, this is one that I don't use very often, to protect the highlights. So because we've increased the contrast in the bright areas, what that does is it looks at so we're looking at, are these called needles? Nettles? I can't remember what they're called.
What, the traits?
Yeah, these little white bits off the flower there. So basically,
no, I think they're stamens.
Okay, righto, no worries. So we're looking at those white lines, and when we increase the contrast, the white areas, it'll brighten the white areas, and the darker areas around it, it'll darken it to give that perception of sharpness. And sometimes what happens when you do that is the light areas become so bright that they lose detail. So that is why we have this protect highlights. So we can increase the contrast, but this protect highlights will actually reduce the amount of brightness that adjustment is applying.
Yeah.
Which is really clever, and I rarely get to use that, so that's really cool. We get to play with that now. And you can see the before and the after. It's just taken some of that brightness away. We've sharpened it, which is brilliant. We've made it pop, but we've taken some of that brightness away, make it look a bit more natural. That's looking really cool. If we look at the top one, look at that. That's unreal. All right, happy with that. I'll go into details now. And pinch and zoom, always pinch and zoom, Terry, when we're sharpening, because then you can kind of see what you're doing and then come back out again and have a bit more of an overview to make sure that you haven't mucked up the rest of it, if you like.
Yeah.
So go a bit of that. And yep, that's looking fantastic. All right. So that's looking really good. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to concentrate on the background, and I love that your camera has already, because you've got it nice and close, your camera has already kind of made the background blurry, which is really helpful.
Yes, yeah.
So I'm going to go pencil, and I will go to selective. So we're going to do a selective adjustment. Actually, I'll go back. Tune image, and in here we're going to go to shadows, and we're going to reduce those shadows.
Yeah.
Like that. Okay. Bit of ambience. Highlights, just reduce those highlights. We go one way, you can see we're bringing all that white back again. If we reduce that, we're taking the white and we're bringing some of that original colour back. So go back, that looks good. Just looking at the flowers. Okay, that's all looking great. Now pencil, and I'm going to do some selective adjustments now. And there's two tools that I use. One is selective tool, that's my favourite. And then the other one is brush. So I'm going to go brush this time.
That's what I want to see how you use that.
Yeah, so brush is quite aggressive because it's like finger painting with paint, and it's really sloppy. It's hard to get inside the lines, that sort of thing. Yeah. Dodge and burn is really good for just fine tuning, so we can get inside the flower here, and we can make the dark areas there a little bit darker, the bright areas a little bit brighter to increase that kind of that depth that perception of depth. So that is fantastic for that. Exposure that's what we're going to use now. It's a bit more aggressive. And if I go negative, and what I can do is paint around the outside, you can see we're really making that, it's really aggressive there. It's darkening it really quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So that's pretty good.
How are you doing that? You've selected that and just went with your finger on the screen.
Yeah, it's a bit hard with the iPhone. I can't actually see where I'm touching it. So, so basically I've just selected exposure, went really -1, which is the strongest amount, and then I'm just swiping with my finger around the outside just to reduce it. You can see there, that's the before.
Yeah.
And that's the after.
Yes, yeah.
Now, we don't want to make it, I don't know, it's personal preference. There's no right and wrong, but I don't want to make it black, because then it will look like a studio setup. And if it's a black background and it's a studio setup, then you're really chasing perfection, and it needs to be a perfect specimen to make it look really good.
Yeah.
If we darken the background, leave some of that texture there, then it provides that context of, hey, this is actually a real flower in its real environment. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah.
Yep, okay. So happy with that. So what I'm going to do now is I want to go around the edges, and I just want to tidy up a little bit. So I'm going to go pencil and healing. Okay, you can see on the edge here we've got a part of a flower there. So I just want to heal that out, get rid of that. This one here sticking out, getting nice and close. Get rid of that. Nice. And there we go. And I'm doing border patrol. So I'm going around the bottom now, and I can see there's a couple of bright orange bits or green bits. So let's get rid of those.
Yeah.
Just tapping, get rid of those.
So you're using healing to get that.
Healing, yeah, it's awesome. Another tool that I absolutely love for doing this is called Touch Retouch. I know you're already familiar with that one. Yeah. And what I love about Touch Retouch is that with healing, you kind of just, the app is guessing where to reference from when you say, okay, I want to get rid of this bit, and it will, so if I just go crazy here, okay, select all this, what it does is it looks around the outside of that red area and goes, okay, that's what I'm going to fill it in from. So if I let go, it just does something crazy. With Touch Retouch, it has another tool in there called cloning, which is a real Photoshop kind of tool. And you can actually say, okay, from this point here where I touch, when I swipe over here, I want you to fill in from that point over there. Don't guess. I'm in control. And it'll fill in where you've referenced, which works brilliantly. It works really well. And they're almost, I think they're only a couple of weeks away. They're actually releasing a brand new look to the app and some new tools, which I won't talk about now because I'll get in trouble. But it's really exciting. They've got some really cool things coming out as well, some extra tools. So that's a great app. Healing inside Snapseed for a quick edit like this. It's really good as well. All right, so press the tick when I'm happy with that. And how's that looking at the moment?
Yes, it's coming up good.
Yep, fantastic. All right, so I'm thinking that looks pretty good at the moment. So I'll go pencil, and I'll go back into where are we? The brush, and I'll go to that dodge and burn. And what I want to do now is try and bring, because it's looking a bit flat. I mean, we've brought lots of detail out, which is fantastic, but it's looking a bit flat, I reckon. What do you think?
Yeah.
It looks like it's kind of copied and pasted on top of it, doesn't it?
Yes, yeah.
So what I want to do is using our I'll go back a step. So we go to pencil, and we go to brush again. And now I've got dodge and burn. So what I want to do is go into these areas inside the flower where there's a bit of darkness, and I'm going to burn it, so darken it, just like the old wet film days, processing. I'm going to burn it, I'm going to darken some areas. So I went to a -10 value, and I'm just going to swipe in there inside the flowers here. It's in the middle where there's already some existing darkness. inside there and along there. And I might also go along the branch as well, just to darken the branch a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's our before, and there's our after. So I think that's kind of, instead of looking like it's been copied and just pasted and stuck
on so much more depth, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's what when we think about taking photos and composition, because as you know, I'm putting together my my 4-step system, my stronger photo composition 4-step system. I've got over 100 different techniques and tools in there. It's all written. I'm actually not far away from releasing it, and this is a big part of it, is that we kind of focus so much on the orientation and placement of the main subject and other supporting elements. We kind of forget that there's another dimension to photography, and that is depth. So we want to try and have something in the background that's a little bit softer, and like our eyes, when we look at a scene, things that are further away kind of lose contrast. They soften. So and shape. So when light hits something, it falls off the side, so we have shadows around the side of it and that sort of thing. So composition is a lot more than just the arrangement of elements. It's how we create that depth. That's looking pretty good. Press the tick there. So if I hold the screen here, we'll see the before photo. Just that there. And there's our after photo.
Yeah.
So I think that's quite...
It's almost like a Christmas type photo, isn't it?
Yeah. And if we can play around with it a little bit more, and on the left side there where the branch comes out, we could either decide to make that pop a little bit more, or we could darken that off and almost get rid of it. The center branch through the middle there, we might want to I'll just go in here for a second. The center branch, there's a bit on the end there that's a bit brighter, so I can go in there and just reduce the brightness of that, make that kind of disappear. So we can look at little things that kind of grab our eye and our attention, go, just tweak that, get rid of that. Let's have a go at this bit here. I'm a perfectionist, Terry. Tell me when to stop, because I'll get going.
No, it's quite interesting, it's just playing around with all the different bits and pieces, and
and like we said, there's no right and wrong, so it's a personal preference. One thing I'm looking at the moment is that the flower on the left side of the frame is a little bit saturated, and that's kind of pulling my attention, whereas I want my attention to go over to the textures of the other side. So I'm going to go selective, and I'm going to select just that flower. Put on a yellow bit, saturation, reduce that saturation a bit, reduce the brightness a bit, and now our attention kind of goes back over to the other side. So there's the before, and there's the after. So, and this is the part, Terry, that I love about photo editing is, as you said, just playing. I mean, it's fun. Just play around with it. Yeah.
I have a lot of fun playing around with the temperature.
Yes. Yep.
What I've been doing, just using the phone app.
Yep.
I've been double vignetting.
Yep.
You get a copy and then you save a copy and then you put it through again. Fantastic. And then getting the temperature right down. I've got some daffodils.
Yep.
They've gone sort of a blue colour.
Yep.
And the whole background is sort of black like that. And they look really, really different. Yeah.
I'll show you one more really quick.
Yeah.
We go to the tools and then we go to vintage. This is one that I've started playing around with lately, and I love it. And you can see here straight away it's gone to my favourite one, and that was number 11.
Yeah.
It's in vintage, number 11. And look what it did there. So there's the before, and there's the after.
Yeah.
Just beautiful. And I know I'm not a fan of filters and applying styles and that sort of thing, but for a nice finishing touch like this, I think that worked really well. And we can go style strength, reduce that. Yeah, I think that just makes it pop, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, last quick tip.
Great.
Thanks, Terry.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Mate. I'll catch you later.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.